back and then like
It must happen all the time.
4 or something. Whenever they thought they could. It used to. Well, maybe, but these guys didn't show their face. They just played the music. So,
Wow.
they couldn't even have to get like a fake impersonator or something like that.
Too funny.
And but with the shows, like it would still not even be as just lack of effort. So people would get mad and they would steal their turntables and the speakers and the monitors. Like it's a famous thing that used to always at the concert hall.
Man.
It was tough doing shows in Toronto. And then if you were a Toronto artist, you're extra grind because they're like, like we like that guy. What's going to make us like you? And that's what's the Screwface Cat.
Yeah.
People would pay $10 to come into your party to stand there and screwface you.
Yeah.
They buy the ticket to come to your show and just sit there and be like...
Right.
Such a weird mindset.
And it was like... Yeah, but it was like that. Chaos called it crabs in a bucket. And, so it was a weird mindset. Like, it's not so much anymore, but back then, because everybody was trying to get on. And if you had a little bit of shine, they're like, well, why is he shining? He's not that good.
You know what I think stopped it? Comment sections. Now that people can just comment on videos and say whatever they want, they don't have to pay $10 to go to the show anymore.
Oh,
I think that's what happened.
Yeah, they just become they just get and then they just hate online in the chat rooms. They'd be like, I saw him live. Wasn't that cool?
Exactly.
Feel differently.
Every episode of the DNA Airwaves is recorded and produced at the MPL. The MPL is a collection of film, music, and audio post-production suites located in the GTA. Please visit the-MPL, that's maple without the vowels.com, to learn how they can help you with your next film or audio production.
Same guy that was there screaming, calling out your name.
Thanks, Internet.
Yeah.
As part of like that hip hop, like Screwface and just hip hop in general, there's this weird like I don't even know what we call it, but where authenticity in your rhymes are so important, especially when you were kind of coming up, maybe even a little bit before that, but during like the Wu-Tang era, like you were mentioning before, and a little bit later, there was this weird, like, you could rap nice, but if you didn't back it up in real life, you were kind of seen a certain way. Why do you think that is in hip-hop, where in country, I can rap about drinking and shooting my wife, and nobody looks at that man any differently in the real world, but our lyrics need to be authentic to our real life? Why do you think that is, or was the case growing up?
I think because it was the music. It came out from such a personal place, right? Like it was people's self-poetry talking about what they're going through and what's been going on and their experience and how they see the world.
True.
And so, if you have like Public Enemy saying, doing this and that would fight the power and it takes the nations of millions to hold us back. And then all of a sudden, you believe,
right.
Like that was a full-on movement. Remember when there was that time when people, they didn't wear gold chains. Everybody, well, they still wore gold chains, but the movement was African medallions.
Right.
Yeah. And it was
unity and uplifting.
And people listened to it.
But then it changed, and it went to, I'm going to shoot you, I'm a thug, and I'm going to show you how real I am when I see you in the streets.
Well, that was always kind of there, right? You still had Just Ice from back in the day, and even KRS-One had songs like that. And Public Enemy had a song called "My Uzi Weighs a Ton." Like they had, although it was a political, but still, like there was still stuff going on. But then I think after it got real hard with the Public Enemies, and then you had the NWAs, and then the Onyxes and everything. Like it wasn't as Teddy Riley and Guy as much as it was Onyx and Black Moon, for most people, and that was the type of style that people got into. But then if you're telling a story, it depends. You can tell a story or you can be in it. I think one of the greatest things about Nas is Nas was like he's a great storyteller. He's like the guy looking out of his window telling you what's going on. Yeah. Where other people put themselves in the situation that Nas is watching. Right. And so if you go and claim that guy, there's always going to be somebody that's going to want to try and test you for anything. If you're a great tennis player, someone's going to come for the title. True. If you're best rapper, someone's going to come for the title. A hockey player, someone wants the MVP. Yeah. So if you're the baddest gangster on the street and you put it out there and rap, well, then the gangster is going to be like, gangsters don't rap, whatever we do. Sure. And then you can just put yourself out there. So that's why I think it's more, important to be like standing by your words. like I get entertainment and this and that, but if it's, like you could tell when someone's like saying this is me, and then when they're saying, they're just making a song to say whatever they're trying to say. And I think it's important because people live and die off of, some people of what they say. Like, there's people who will live and die off every word Tupac said. They live that life. And I think it's important to be the person that you say that you are, so that way your fans know who you are and they follow you for your authenticity.
Speaking of fans, I'm sure before the internet was as accessible, you used to get fan mail and people used to probably mail you things. Do you have any fun stories about that?
Yeah, I remember. So I started getting fan mail. I used to go to the record company, Virgin. And then I would go in because sometimes before we would do this, like with the video chat, I'd go into Virgin and I'd have like a schedule from like 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., 5 p.m. on pure like interviews, radio, newspaper, print, whatever, magazines. Like you spend the whole day, just doing all of this all day. And but then when I'd go there, that's where some of the fan mail would come. And I would get like cool stuff like pictures from people and mail. And then I made the big effort. I really did try, everybody out there, to sign and reply to everyone. And then I remember my friend goes, he looks at me. I'm sitting at my kitchen table trying to do these things. And my friend looks at me and is like, what are you doing? I said, what? He said, like, really, what are you doing? I said, I'm just trying to reach back or whatever. He's like, look at that over there. And there was like this big pile of letters and everything. He's like, when do you think you're going to have time to do each one of those back? He says, why don't you just do like, I don't know. He told me something to do that, like just go on the radio and shout everybody out or something, but don't. And then I was like, I really can't do this because it was just too much. But it was just great. The amount of stuff that I would get, a lot of the letters, really cool pictures, stories. Raps that I didn't know how to flow. I wouldn't know how to flow and go. They just give me like a full paragraph of the raps, and I just nope.
No rhythm, no tempo, nothing. Okay.
Yeah. A lot of you are familiar with the DNA Project and have been rocking with us for a while, but some of you aren't. A lot of you are faithful listeners of the podcast, but aren't familiar with some of the other work that we do. So I just want to take a quick moment to explain to you a little bit more of what we do. So you're getting married, or you have a friend, a cousin, a sister, somebody you know is getting married. Okay. You've booked your venue, caterers, photographer, all that good stuff. When it comes to live music, most people have no idea where to look. We have you covered. Picture this. During the ceremony, while guests are being seated, or while the bride's walking down the aisle. During the cocktail hour, while guests are just mingling and having a good time. Don't forget about dinner music. That's very important to set the mood while guests eat. And we definitely can't forget the party. Let's get the party started right now with the DNA Project. www.thednaproject.ca for more information. When did you first decide that this was a career path that you wanted to follow?
I was just really, when I was just growing up in the borough, my brother was known for being a rapper in the neighborhood. And I would just be called Junior. Just the people used to ask me if I was going to rap like him. And I'd just pick up the mic and do a little thing here and there and stuff like that. And one time I was just at a house party in a building at Markham and Eglinton. And I had a couple things that I wrote down. Somebody passed me the mic. I picked up the mic. I said what I said, and then the guy at the end, he just said, "Man, you're good. You should stay at it." Okay. And I just stayed at it. And I just kept writing from there and just keep.
And when going. From writing did you realize, oh shit, I'm onto something. I might be able to actually make money off of this. Do you remember that moment?
Well, as I started writing, people would come, like you get into like these spontaneous battles. Like, you'd be at Scarborough Town Center and you'd see a cipher going on, and then you just, all of a sudden, people push you in the cipher, or somebody would know you from school or something like that, and you get dragged in. And then, and I was winning a lot of them and stuff like that. Or if I lost any, it was close. Like, it wasn't like I tore up or anything like that. So it was like, people were like, yeah, okay, he's doing all right. So I just kept going and writing songs. I met through high school. We had a mutual friend that introduced me to Socrates, and I met up with him. And then we started going to the studio together from way back when. And then my friend Rod Dollar would come all the time. And then yeah, I just kept going. So there was always like this motivation, like, now I'm doing beats, I'm doing songs, demos with Socrates, and he had Still Caught Up and all these early singles out at the time. So he was a big deal. Like he was the next
definitely.
big guy, sort of the big small
the
guy.
big small guy.
He had these 2 hot singles. Yeah, he had the 2 hot singles running on 88.1.
Money or Love.
Saturday, at least twice a day, like, between Money or Love, yeah. And this is even
Runs
before
Deep.
that. So, it was like 8 Runs Deep. It was right around 8 Runs Deep. He was just doing that. And so there was always motivation to keep recording. And at one point I just decided, because I was putting my records into record companies and stuff like that, and I just got fed up, and I was like, man, you need to know somebody to go and get anything to happen. If you don't know anybody or have a connection, it's not going to happen, man. We should just do our own stuff. And then me and the engineer at the time named Day, called me the next day. He was like, were you serious about what you were saying? I was like, yeah, man, we can't get ahead with whatever. Then 3 weeks later, we had a record company called Knee Deep Entertainment, and went down to university, registered the company. But now we have a record company, and I'm thinking, okay, I guess I'm a record company guy now. I'm not a rapper anymore. Exactly. And we were like, okay, well, we need music, because what are we going to do? And he showed me Socrates' Father Time that he was working on. And then back then, everybody was like, okay, well, you need a B-side. You don't have a B-side. So I was like, well, I've been working on this song called 21 Years. Why don't we do it on the B-side? So that became the B-side, just to have a B-side of the Father Time record. And Father Time did really well, got signed to Warner Brothers, was playing everywhere, was on these movies and all this other stuff, going crazy. And I remember listening to 88.1 one time, and somebody called in and they said, that Father Time record is really big, but you really need to check out that 21 Years track by Shot. They said my name wrong, like So Clear on the other side.
So Clear.
And I was like, oh, and then DJ X. And then DJ X goes, yeah, you know what? We really need to give that record on the other side a little attention. And, so he started playing it, and then all of a sudden DJ Premier puts it on his Reality Check 101 album, and it just starts going. And then we were like, well, we need another record, and we have no artist. And I guess I'll record another single. And so that's when I did What It Takes with Julie Black and Just a Second on the other side. And then we won the Juno for What It Takes that following year. And we were like, well, I guess I'm the artist now. And
that's the one behind the CN Tower, right?
We're the label, but
What It Takes. Yeah,
it's
iconic.
CN Tower in the background. That was actually DJ X, Little X, not DJ X, Director X, and Little X's first video once he started working off of Hype Williams, because he came back and he did the second half of that video. When you're seeing the CN Tower and we're on actually Ward's Island by Center Island there, that's his stuff that he shot. And that won the Juno. And then and we were like, well, I guess I'm going to keep recording because I'm the only artist on the label. And at that point, I was like, all right, I guess, things are kind of moving, and it just gradually kept going.
Speaking of recording and winning and all of that, we got to work on one of your songs here, Feel the Night, and I got to hear your bare tracks without any processing or anything, and it was perfect. I didn't I had to carve some EQ because that has to do with the mic, but the timing and everything. So I'm wondering, starting out or still, did you have a practice regimen? Did you do tongue twisters? Because clearly your rhythm is down from practice.
I don't, you know what? I don't know how that actually came. I have artists that I like. Like I like Biggie. I like Big Daddy Kane. I like the rock hymns and stuff. So maybe there's some influence from some of that, but a lot of times I was trying to explain it to my friend the other day, because we were having this meeting, or we were talking about the videos that we just did, and we were throwing out ideas, and I had it on the Nature Channel, and I was just watching, bears and lions do whatever they're doing and whatever, but I don't know, I get some type of something happens, I get some type of visual, it changes into a audio type situation with me, the way they move and the skip, or I'll watch sports highlights and I'll look at the way if someone does a really quick dribble, a quick crossover, it's the speed of the bounce of the ball, there's a rhythm there, like a boom, boom, or even faster.